How you guys doing? Nice. Good to see a good crowd here. Everyone speaks licensing. I like that. It's almost like the AA meeting happening. And I was honored by Gemalto to have this opportunity, come on the stage, talk about licensing, and who NetApp is, how do we do licensing, et cetera. And I did some research. I looked at how do you open a dialogue with an awesome crowd like this. And some of the research told me start up with a joke so they'll get the attention and it won't go away. And I read a lot, I watched videos, and I came up with nothing but realization. I'm just a nerd. I don't do jokes. So without any BS, we will talk about licensing and how we do licensing at NetApp. We will talk about the why, the legacy, the current status, and the future. And why are we doing this in NetApp in a different way? Why license differently and not follow the traditional route of most of the tech companies out there who are doing the assessments, the roadmap, the timeline, the looking at Gemalto and competition to look at how can we get EMS and subsequent technologies to just automate the whole thing, automate the whole processes, leverage technology, and just build a business offering. So that said, my name is Rishi Katdare. I am a senior program manager at NetApp. This is my 7th year at NetApp, and I head software licensing operations. We have some NetApp people today. Some could not make it. They had to leave for meetings because, we tend to be busy at times. So can the NetApp people please stand up, take a bow? We've got John Cross, we've got Gautam, we've got Angie. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution to NetApp, by the way. I also want to mention Gautam comes from Juniper. He just recently joined our team, and he is leading the pricing initiatives. So shall I say welcome home, right? So let's look at the history of licensing. When we look at licensing just as a subject, a domain, if you will, we began with static licensing, 7 characters, right? NetApp is a company which is, well, how many of you know who NetApp is? Show of hands? Oh, good. Quite a good number. Okay, that said, how many of you know what NetApp does? Interesting. How many of you think it's a hardware company? Awesome. Almost no hands, 2 hands. Sir, talk to me. So we are a triangle. We are a triangle of hardware, software, and services, support services, anything from a PS engagement, support tiers, if you will. We use awesome technologies, in-house built, as well as integrated with third-party partners such as the cloud offering space these days, right? You got the AWS, you got the Azures, whatnot. We recently also launched so many different controllers and optimized processes and solutions to build your data center. So it's not just controller-based, it's not just hardware, it's actually the software, the OS, the software features protocols that we make at home, and we monetize them. So if we sell a solution which has a set of controllers, a flash-based or disk-based, we're not just selling and saying it's done. We're actually walking with you because your success is our success. It's an engagement, it's a journey, right? What does that mean for us, though? The myth in NetApp, right? We do have some problems. We have some challenges. We are walking in that direction to fix them. The myth at NetApp is, licensing is just a one-time event. What's the big deal? Who cares? You just gave a key, guy plugs it in, box is working. Support guy goes, make sure the box is working, logs in the data center, everything is dandy, come back home. Well, that's not the case. We're changing that, and we have. I want to talk about that. From that 7-character key, static key, we moved to node-locked mechanism, 28 characters, which locked serial numbers to that specific static key so that one cannot gamify the solution we sold. You cannot plug and play licensing. It is locked to the serial number. And we can track how that serial number has moved from entity A to entity B. So it's interesting, at NetApp, people are now realizing how licensing has evolved, right? And John, thank you so much for that. John has been a principal technologist for licensing at NetApp for how many years, 6+? Nice. We go way back. Some people at NetApp call us, the flip of a coin. It's either him or I, we talk. And the awareness we're raising at NetApp is it's not just about licensing and a format of a key. It's the entire business operations. It's the entire sales model. It's the monetization model. Because our perception is when sales is happy with incentives, with the sales model, the strategy, go and do an RFP, if not sell it. Do tech refreshes. Do support contracts, ELA, MSA, whatnot. You're actually looking at selling a license, not the software. Software can be downloaded. If you're a customer, you can log in our support site, which is our post-sales ecosystem, and you can download a software. It's not going to work. You need to enable it with a software license key, which has a price, could be $0, could be $1,000, for example. But it's monetized. That hardware needs software to work. Both have a cost. And the output of all that pricing strategy, the output of everything at NetApp that is done from engineering to legal operations to make sure the EULA is up to date, to everything from a marketing strategy, digital marketing. Come and see us on the website, right? And this is what we sell, the whole portfolio of services, our data fabric. It's all monetized because the output is a license key, right? So shouldn't we pay more attention to what is the user experience of such a license key format, its engagement model, its continuous business operations? We're focused on that, and I'm going to talk to you about it more. So therefore, good time to talk about the agenda. Let's look at the portfolio of NetApp, right? From a licensing operations momentum, I would rather not say what we do. I would rather talk to you about what we're doing, and you can decide what we do in the company. We'll give you the licensing perspective and the thought process behind why we're taking specific risks to make awareness happen at NetApp, to be those change agents, because we've seen how specific industries, such as most of the company people that are over here, thank you so much for being here. We've learned, we've educated others, and we are partnering with people in the field, in licensing, in monetization, to realize what is that potential. So we've gone to great lengths to do an R&D. We've done competitive assessments. We've done vendor assessments. We've seen technologies. I've actually seen, Robert, thank you for partnering with us. We saw the demo of EMS and how it would fit our needs in the future. We're not yet a customer of the EMS system, but we are a customer of Gemalto. We use their security solutions. So my MFA tokens to get on the VPN is all Gemalto. I'm a personal customer of Gemalto because majority of my credit cards have the Gemalto name on it because of the SIM card, the chip. So there's definite momentum and synchronous topics between our companies on this subject, on this domain. So who is NetApp again? We are a data fabric solution for the hybrid cloud. We're the data authority who's looking at everything is data-centric. Our core competence is data. And I'm so thankful to our executive leadership who sees that. Licensing operations proudly sits in product operations at NetApp. We recently moved from finance, where we sat for 3.5 years. And I'm thankful to the executives in finance who realized my awareness, if you will, that said, some things aren't making sense. We're so product-centric. Things that we do are impacting our products horizontally, operationally, back-end, front-end, our strategies. We possibly need to talk to product operations because that would be the right place. And they realized it. I do want to recognize my finance leadership from we have a good history. So Mark Valentine, Tart Parmanchek, both VPs in finance, I reported to them and was honored for them to just listen, the opportunity we have at hand. And I talked to Chris Neff, our VP in product operations, and I said, Chris, something's got to change. Because we showed the strategy, the vision we had, and we're not saying we want to be the bosses in town. We don't want to own anything. We don't want to take people's business away and step on toes. We're saying a change is coming. This has to happen to survive for different business offerings, different business models, because perpetual business is eventually going to descale. So how do you optimize solutions? How do you start getting next-gen ready in the field so that the next 25 years of NetApp are extremely optimized, automated, self-serve mechanisms? So we're on that roadmap. We've got that coming soon. We're hunkered in R&D sessions, whiteboard sessions. We're talking to engineering, and thank you so much for all the engineers at NetApp who realize this potential. When you talk about giving licensing solutions, we are the one-stop shop in the whole company globally that speaks licensing. Talk to us and we'll help you. We enable field teams from any CSAT resolution, issues coming in. We talk to support teams, entitlement operations teams who update entitlements. And yes, we use the typical CRM systems. We're doing the next-gen upgrade in that, but yeah, we are the hardware company in the past. So we help them, we support them, we back them up, and we say, no, use this process and we'll support you. Give this message to the customer that it's being reviewed, and we'll take care of it. We'll meet those SLAs. So it's not just field operations, it's actually looking at how do we take this from a customer-centric standpoint, right? How do we make sure the customer is not impacted? There's no disruption of service, of our brand, our recognition, and when you talk to NetApp, it's going to get done. We are definitely looking at the hybrid cloud instance. We're looking at what is on-premise, what is the opportunity in hybrid cloud, as well as pure cloud. Let's not even talk about Gov Cloud for now. Dark side and Gov Cloud, whole different strategy. We're talking of product telemetry. How do things report back to us if we're going in the on-demand route? We just announced recently in Vegas, NetApp On Demand, and I'm honored to have customers the opportunity of looking at consumption-based offerings. It's going to be field-led. It's going to be strategized to make sure incentives and all the compensations are looked at. Strategically, we're now seeing the vision that field-led initiatives are well-structured for as-a-service offering. We're also looking at StorageGrid as an example. This product has now started offering subscription. So when you're a customer, you've all got cell phones with you. 99.99%, you guys are having your data on NetApp systems in the back end, globally, whether it's Israel, US, whatnot, right? Any app that you use, there's a strong chance that's running on NetApp. Our ecosystems of all licensing in the company is NetApp on NetApp. It's the NetApp cloud we use. So we're setting an example in the company. This is the way to go. You can hyperscale. You can make sure it's concurrent user-friendly, and the uptime is assured. We also looked at licensing from a change. We're now moving towards file-based licensing. So you might laugh, okay, big deal. File-based licensing always has been there. What's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal. I'll tell you why. From static licensing that we came to the node lock feature, we're now moving to IPA licensing, and I'll talk to you about it, which gives us the opportunity of enforcing entitlement policies into the product. We'll make the product behave according to what the contract states. So when the offer specific to a term, a capacity, or a specific contract, one-off contract, for example, the entitlement will be such that the license key delivers that entitlement into the product. And so there are one-time efforts engineers have to make within the product, so both the technologies understand each other. But our licensing is changing and acting as a platform. We're coming up with different editions or versions of the licensing semantic, which says in V4, we've got this capability, V5, V6, and our roadmap talks about V7, right? All the product managers are eventually going to start seeing, I say eventually, it's still a journey, are eventually going to start seeing, why should we even waste time structuring and engineering into the OS, into the software? I can use my engineers elsewhere. Something more opportunistic, right? It's not the focus on licensing. That's a one-time thing. Licensing engineers can take care of that. We'll talk to different product teams and make sure we have embedded solutions going forward. That is one of the things we're looking at from a streamlining, from a simplicity perspective, and flexible solutions. Thinking of you guys, the customers, the partners, because we have direct and partner-led account, channel partners. The font is a bit messed up here, but I'll do the best I can. This is the portfolio of licensing operations at NetApp. It took us 3 years to get to this point. This was completely net new. People did not realize why it should be done. People did not realize the how, the what processes, what workflows are you talking about, what life cycles? And oh, by the way, SDLC, why? We are a product at licensing operations because of cross-functional teams that support us. We're nothing without them. Engineering, I should say, licensing, other teams, other products have their own licensing semantics going on, so we partner with them, and we monetize a specific strategy of how is this customer going to buy the product, how is the quote-to-invoice operations going to behave, and how do you do the try-buy solution for that? So on the left, you've got the services, I've got the product stack, and the technologies. Speaking of that, license transitions. One of the biggest things which is ignored in the whole field is transitioning licensing from different business model transitions, be it capacity, be it term. We need to look at how does the customer change without disruption, right? Contracts, renewals from a monthly base to an annual base because of certain marketing incentives. How does the transition occur in our IB records? We need to look at that as well. And we've done a heck of a job with that. We partnered with our LMT team, license modification team, and we came up with a unified lean process which reduced almost 13 hours of their time for every case that comes in with this request. It's now centralized via a nice front end which talks about what kind of services would you like? What are you trying to, what is the customer trying to do here? Upgrade, downgrade, reverts? We resolve that. Evaluation licenses. Software trials is one of the biggest things, the biggest opportunities we have for any company out there, be it high-tech, energy, whoever it is. It's an audition if you look at it, right? Software trial is an audition of your company to the potential customer, to the existing customer. They can play with it, they can go crazy with it, they can buy it. Right? So the conversion metrics is what we're looking at. We're looking at heat maps. Which geos showed which products as the highest volume, right? How many products in Americas gave on-tap select? What capacity? How many cluster nodes? What term? What was the ROI on that? At list price, how much did we give out in a trial? Data points. We're collecting data points. It's a journey. So 5 years from now, I know what began, what assets were given as trials, how much was converted, so rev gen, recognition. We're looking at all that. As I said, we also have the licensing help desk. We support entitlement transfers. Entitlement transfers, by all means, is one of the toughest jobs to manage, by the way, right? And not many companies have a centralized process. We actually developed that 3 years ago. Bits and pieces. We set up a core team, We structured what needs to be done, filled the gaps. All the manual processes towards helping customers through M&A situations, through divestitures, are all centralized in a portal now. And so we saw that on our roadmap. We said, this must be fixed. The customers who are moving assets from A to B, if not being acquired, they have a timeline. They have contracts by which time assets need to be from A to B and working. How can we help them? And so we made a centralized ecosystem. I'm going to show you the slide on that. We'll do a show and tell today. Data Fabric packs and bundles. In that centralized location of our licensing portal, you've got a grid which looks extremely difficult to look at, if you will. But it's got a UI UX component. It's got check marks, X marks. Click on the check mark, which is mapped to a controller and OS. And you click on it, it opens the whole shebang, the pack and bundle of it. Base package, premium package, a la carte items. What is included? What is licensed? Is it a fee? Yes or no? Within 30 seconds, my SEs on the field can answer a question that you as a customer may ask. Hey, so what do I get in this package? How much am I looking at? You don't have to go in the whole mock up a quote to give the answer. It's mobile friendly. Take your iPad out, your laptop out, your cell phone out, VPN into it, and see the answer. Tap, 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 done. And we actually timed it. It's less than 30 seconds to just look at the answer. Right? In the products, we've got those portals. We talk about portals as if it's just a website, but actually it's not. It's non-financial transaction that is recurring every day. I say non-financial because I don't want anyone watching this afterwards to put me in a SOX compliance, routine. So by all means, it's not that, right? It talks about, this is a central front door for educating your internal teams of how is every product licensed, not from just, here's how it looks and here's how it feels, sell this. It's actually the education, the semantic behind it, the structure behind it. So I'm doing ONTAP Cloud. What does the customer want? We give AWS solutions, we give Azure solutions, we give BYOL solutions. How do you go about it? So we look at all those things. On the right side, IPA licensing, let's talk about that. It's the file-based licensing. It's got all these attributes embedded in it, and we're patent pending on that. Thank you, John, for that again. We look at all these attributes which map to a CMAT ID. The minute you come in, you're CMATted, right? So we know the entitlement ID that is moving from step A to step Z. We can map in those license keys the actual warranty start, the end dates, the serial numbers, the capacity, the term locked in, the messaging as your term is ending, coming soon, do something, call to action. It's all embedded in the license key. And we have keygens behind it. We have static keygens. We have file-based keygens. It's automated. When you buy a product and you log in the support site, it's just there. Click here to obtain the licenses. It'll make the call to our keygen and spit them back and store them in your record. We did a focus on the need, right? Problem statements, if you will. We looked at everything on why should we do this way? What is our next step? So we came up with these answers, if you will. So non-disruptive solutions are definitely the future. We're looking at evaluation offerings should deliver a user-friendly experience to customers such that today if you go on the www site, netapp.com, and you type ONTAP Select, you will see a software trial. You don't need a license key for that. It's embedded into the product for 90 days. Right? Download it, go crazy with it, come back to us. Same thing for on-command insight. You can do that. We also decided to reduce the confusion around trying NetApp software. So that's one of the things I'm focused on. How do we know what we've learned, take that ahead, show the findings based on all the POCs we've done, and structure that in a program, in the initiative, to make sure customers do the software try and buy seamlessly. Can we get to a state which is non-disruption when you do try-buy? That's a big question when you go back to your companies, evaluate that. That's big. develop simplified and flexible licensing models, right? And as I said, it entices the product behavior. So the minute you stop paying me for that solution, that product will stop working. I'm not saying we'll do it. I'm always going to say there's a negotiation phase, right? But eventually, we can have that liberty. And if you're monthly and you shut off all the telemetry responses, you still have that term embedded in the product. It's going to shut down automatically. So as a platform, as I mentioned, we've got different versions. It allows us to have faster development times, less complexity. We look at multiple offerings in one code base. One size fits all from the ONTAP family, be it on-premise, for FAS AFF, to cloud, to hybrid cloud solutions, to full cloud solutions, or just ONTAP Select, the OS itself that can be sold as is. We are eliminating all these back-end finance workarounds to get up to date with, here's our strategy on licensing. Flexible, scalable, you saw key examples of that because of those attributes. It refines the whole strategy of how do you go to market? How do you talk to the GTM team to say, here's the strategy, it's going to work this way, here are the release notes, everything else from an education standpoint on how the product will work, publish this, content, and we're go. This is the licensing portal, the one-stop shop in the company, which is one of the top 3 portals in the company today. It talks about license models, packs and bundles, the evaluation central license policy, the compliance aspect, right? Is someone using it because they paid for it or using it because they didn't pay for it? We can find out. Licensing support, right? All these areas. You have the centralized ecosystem of all entitlement transfers occurring for customers. As soon as someone calls NetApp and says, hey, I want to update my entitlements for these serial numbers to company X, well, show us the document that supports it. We'll help you as much as we can. So operations now knows they have to submit that via the process. We develop that process. It's a cross-functional engagement with licensing operations, with legal operations, with sales operations, and support operations, right? And I've got some ideas coming on that. We can monetize that. This is the time I'm going to take the opportunity to be on the stage to pre-announce the launch of the NetApp Evaluation Central post-Thanksgiving. I'm not doing that on the NetApp stage, I'm doing it here, the mecca of licensing. You're also seeing a glimpse of how that file-based license looks like, right? I'm not showing you the whole shebang, just a small glimpse. So imagine what is this product? How does it help NetApp? It's going to give anyone in NetApp, an SSO-enabled user, log in, see a dashboard, make submissions, see what account asked me for what. What was the opportunity? A profiled, centralized dashboard. And that's the beginning of our homegrown EMS. It's got key gen integrations, static versus file-based behind the scenes. And that's on my next list. December onwards, we're going to automate the heck out of it. Today, it's all manual. So when this process kicks in, we'll see optimization. We'll see automation coming in. This will eventually talk to different ecosystems in the company to say, pre-sales, post-sales, let's see the connection, right? And we're collecting metrics. All those heat maps I mentioned, right? Executives need to see that. How can you build a strategy? How can you execute without knowing what the ground staff has come up with and is able to report on? That's what my team does, right? We're not a metrics team. We're not a business operations team. We're not a licensing guru team. We're not engineers. We're just passionate technologists. We're just realizing the potential and taking it ahead. And so that EMS hub is what we're beginning with for all the pre-trials, the software trials, the audition of NetApp to you as my potential customer. And I do want to thank marketing for giving me that statement, by the way. And so last but not the least, I do want to thank all my executives who have to date seen why we're doing it, what the momentum is. And for those who'll eventually see what we have to offer and the why, we'll be talking soon, I guess, right? But it's that support. You definitely need support from top down to realize the opportunity, because this is big. This is the next-gen development happening right now for the next 25 years of NetApp, where we are data-centric like never before. I do want to give a few minutes for Sreedhar to come and talk about the EMS system from a Gemalto standpoint. He's a great guy, I would say my friend now, a director of product management, and he will show you guys how the Gemalto solution fits in for your specific strategy. Right? Thank you.
Thanks, Rishi. I have good news and bad news. Good news is that I only have 2 slides, so it should be quick and hopefully get you guys out of here soon. Bad news is that I still like to talk, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see which one wins. All right, so I'm like Rishi said, I'm Sreedhar Tatavarthi, the director of product management at Gemalto for the software and services solution, which includes the EMS and RMS part of the product. So, like Rishi mentioned, right? Licensing really empowers your solution, whether it's NetApp or previously we've heard about Trimble and Juniper, right? Licensing really empowers your solution to take your products to the next level, to be able to monetize your products in a different way, right? So that's what we're targeting. Our intent with our products is to help you get there, right? So if you look at our value proposition, these are the 4 big buckets that we always like to talk about our value proposition, right? First one is flexible pricing. Yesterday there was a poll, I think, the attendees all took a poll, and 70% of them said that you would want to introduce new software monetization models into your products, enable that ability to capture, what we call as the willingness to pay, right, from your customers. You want to offer different monetization models that allow you to capture the most value from all your customers, right, regardless of which pricing model each of those uses. And you want a solution that enables you to do all of that. So that is, a solution like Sentinel helps you to do that, right? And the next one is instant delivery. We talked about, Rishi talked about how instantly he's planning on delivering these license keys to their customers, right? That's a very important thing for, especially, when you're looking to, move to these next phase of your business models, offering, new ways to sell your products. That becomes really key, right? Yesterday, Bob Irwin, talked about how that's important from a VRV standpoint, how that is so critical, and how that's critical to the first bucket here, which is being able to offer and being able to monetize their products, right? So having that instant ability to get licenses, get downloads through customer portals where a customer can seamlessly access them, have a seamless integration between all your systems, all of that is key, and that's what the solution offers. In user experience, we talked about consumerization throughout the whole 2 days, right? That's a key trend. Jason said yesterday that we're all consumers in our outside of work, we're all consumers, and that happens with everyone, and that bleeds into the enterprise world, and we need to offer solutions and consider vendors that have this kind of seamless end user experience where they can come in and get their licenses as easily as possible, right? And then finally, data is oil, right? We talked about, Rishi talked about the telemetry and how they're planning to do that, right? Having a vendor who can support that model, right, is important. And it's also important to have someone like Sentinel, someone like Gemalto who can, if you're, Trimble showed that page of 5 pages of different companies that they acquired over time, right? Imagine having a solution that can support all of that in one go, right? In one system that can support all of that, right? So Rishi talked about having their own licensing, right? You imagine having a system where you can not only support your own licensing, but also support other third-party vendors' licensing. All of them can be supported in one platform, right? So that's what we offer. So just to sort of give you a high-level overview of where the EMS solution fits in, this is what it looks like. We understand that EMS is just one part of the solution. That there are other pieces of the puzzle that also fit in, right? So in this case, you can see the back office, CRM, ERP systems that we all need to talk to and connect to and seamlessly integrate with, right? We have seen that with Juniper and Trimble, right? And the new up-and-coming billing solutions. Everybody wants to do the billing part, right? But then, the billing, you need to have the data to collect that, to be able to monetize on a billing solution. You need that data. You need those entitlements. So EMS becomes, again, sort of a key part. The entitlement management system becomes a key part in that solution as well. We can connect to different license key generators. Like I said earlier, the case of Trimble has so many different license key generators. The case of Junos, the Juniper licensing technology, right? All of those are third-party technologies that we integrate with. So you can bring on our technology even if you're using your own licensing and use and get benefits out of our system. Right. So finally, web portals. Web portals is another thing that we always talk about, right? You have heard about the partner portal from yesterday about how they were using it, how Sharp was using the partner portal, and how they're able to do that through our system, right? So that's another important thing to keep in mind when you're looking at vendors that can offer these solutions. Last but not least, right? You need to be able to protect your software. You need to be able to license it and enforce that at your endpoints. So that could be just your standard applications. That could be on a laptop, or it could be in a data center, or it could be in the cloud, or it could be on a, like Todd talked about, on a restricted footprint devices, right? Or devices that can have a standard operating system or a real-time operating system, right? You need to be able to have all of that and be able to enforce that, be able to protect your IP on that, okay? So I guess with that, I'm gonna end, and then I'll let Ariella take over, and I guess we'll open up for Q&A.
Yes,
correct?
Open up for Q&A. Thank you
Rishi,
both. Thank you both. We have like probably one question. And then we're going to wrap up. So any questions before we go for a quick wrap up?
When is the lunch?
A box lunch. It'll be brought in. I don't know when. It's outside? Outside. Okay, it's outside. Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.